This is the Nations Conspire channel. Welcome to today's show. I still like to cover the music videos that end up in the YouTube trending section because it's a very easy way to wake up the teenagers, the young people in this world, to everything that's actually going on, believe it or not, because these music videos are filled with signs and symbols, and these artists are really revealing themselves right to the audience that watches these videos. Of course, YouTube goes out of their way to make these videos trending because this is how they influence the behavior of the youth out there. This is called social engineering 101. And Megan Thee Stallion is somebody that I've covered in the past. Megan Thee Stallion is very popular among teenagers and 20-somethingers, Gen X, Gen Z. Megan Thee Stallion consistently shows us the same signs and symbols, but most people out there don't think anything of it. They think that these dumbed down lyrics are all there because Megan Thee Stallion is an artist, that she's not a social engineer, but she is, or he is. So this all goes back to the Tavistock Institute of Human Relations, shaping the moral, spiritual, cultural, political, and economic decline of the United States of America. It all be traced back to Tavistock, where they really were breeding social engineering and learning the ins and outs of social engineering. And of course, they unleashed that on the United States of America. They really unleashed it on the world. But you really see the effects here in America with idol worship, with how celebrities are able to influence the behavior of people out there. And of course, most of these people refuse to believe that they're influenced by outside forces like celebrities or politicians. They think they're independently making decisions in their lives, but they're not. They're being engineered. And this goes back to the Beatles. They were like the very first big Tavistock Institute production that was unleashed on the world. And specifically, obviously, Beatlemania came over from the UK into America. You could see the Beatles, of course, showing you their true colors with their 666 symbolism, their devil horns. Of course, they even have Aleister Crowley featured on one of their album covers. Elvis is another perfect example for anyone who's trying to learn about all of this stuff with social engineering. Elvis is another example of social engineering out of the Tavistock Institute. Elvis was even one of the first people that they used to push getting something inside of people's bodies, having Elvis pose for these pictures where Elvis was lining up to get himself injected. And if you see the similarities to today's world with how every single celebrity was posting pictures of themselves going and lining up to get it, that's how social engineering works. And these celebrities are all arms of the government. So Megan Thee Stallion, I've showed you Megan in the past doing the all-seeing eye symbolism, doing the blatantly obvious 666 hand symbolism. Megan Thee Stallion even has openly dressed up as Satan himself in some of her music videos. I covered Mamushi recently, where you could see that blood red moon in the sky. The whole theme of Mamushi and that Mamushi snake, it was a symbol for transformation. That video is available on my website, but they literally are talking about what they're doing to the human race, how they're transforming the human race, creating hybrid human beings. You can see Megan Thee Stallion as the serpent in the water. The serpent, of course, comes out of the water. So what's her latest? What's his latest song? It's called Rock Steady, but it's really about a homecoming of sorts, right? They show you the homecoming dance. You think of all the things you would think about at a homecoming dance, right? You think about murder and, of course, cannibalism, right? Because they show us in the beginning of the video, 3 students found dead, mysterious bite marks on their bodies. And, of course, if you haven't heard and you haven't noticed, they are doing subtle things and they're doing blatantly obvious things to normalize cannibalism. You see Megan Thee Stallion standing outside of a bathroom stall and, of course, a victim of being bit in the throat. You've been trained, of course, to think this is something to do with vampires, even though this entire video has zero to do with vampires. And it shows you that they're getting to the point where they don't even need to explain away to you why they're doing cannibalism or showing you somebody biting someone else or eating someone else. They don't even need to use some of their folklore, which, of course, is not really folklore, about cannibalism and vampires and where that really comes from, a certain group of people who, of course, were involved in something called libel, which you're not allowed to discuss anymore on social media, or you'll get thrown in jail. But again, I could discuss that over on the website. The origins of vampires, why it's so famous, why they push it down everyone's throats. This is all done by design. This has nothing to do with creative artwork, just like this video has nothing to do with creativity. This is subtly desensitizing you to cannibalism. So Megan Thee Stallion, of course, and her friends in the video, for no reason whatsoever, without it being explained at all, are just biting people and eating people and cutting their limbs off and storing them in their lockers. And again, I talk about subtle ways that they've been promoting cannibalism. You can look at shows like Santa Clarita Diet, where they're starting to use comedy, at least they call it comedy, to desensitize people out there to cannibalism. And of course, you've seen a lot. I mean, the majority of you who have been subbed to my channels have seen a lot of the work I've done showing you how in the mainstream they're talking about the benefits of cannibalism, anti-aging, living longer, curing Alzheimer's, and of course, talking about blood transfusions with young children and adults and how the blood of young children could help adults live longer because they get the blood of the youth. And of course, this all ties into the red liquid that they like to drink that you're not allowed to talk about on here either, that you get an automatic strike for, like I did with my Demi Moore video about that new movie that came out with Demi Moore that's all about that topic, that red liquid, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. So this homecoming theme, right? You can see Megan Thee Stallion on top of the pyramid. They love to show you this stuff just like this, right? On top of the pyramid. Nobody would think anything of it, of course. They'd say, well, it's normal. Cheerleaders, top, they do a pyramid pose. Nobody says, what is the point of this? Is this helping benefit anyone in life? Who came up with the design for the cheerleaders to make a pyramid? Why don't they make a gigantic straight line? I mean, why is it a pyramid? Well, it's a pyramid, of course, because you're in Babylon, ladies and gentlemen. And you see at the top of the pyramid, of course, Megan Thee Stallion. You see the pyramid on the back of your dollar bill. Of course, we've all been desensitized to the pyramid, so nobody even notices seeing it anymore, even in subtle ways like this. And you notice next to the homecoming sign, another symbol that we've all been desensitized to, that 99.9% of the population have no idea what the symbol even means. They think that the heart symbol actually has something to do with the human heart inside of their body, even though they look nothing alike. And that's because the heart symbol goes back to the Babylonians. The word heart was Baal. That's what the word heart was. And the symbol we see as what we're told is a heart, where celebrities hold it up and tell us that it means love. This is all Baal worship. This has to do with the coming worship of the Antichrist. It has nothing to do with the heart in your body, and it has nothing to do with actual love. But most people just think that these are all mere coincidences, that they just constantly are holding up heart symbols to you because they want world peace and they want unity and they want everyone to love and tolerate one another. Well, this has to do with Baal worship. And right on the locker, Megan Thee Stallion's locker, you could see a butterfly. Now, is that a coincidence that there's a butterfly? Is it a coincidence that inside the locker, right next to a human hand that has been cut off of the body of someone, is another monarch butterfly? Is it a coincidence that Megan Thee Stallion, during many performances, during many Instagram posts, is always posing with a butterfly? No, it's not a coincidence. Is it a coincidence that all of these celebrities seem to have an obsession with butterflies? Do they all invest in butterfly farms? Do they have caterpillars roaming around their homes? No, of course, this has nothing to do with actually loving a butterfly. It has to do with MK Ultra monarch programming. We've seen every single celebrity, from Katy Perry to people like Beyonce to demons like Madonna, holding up butterfly symbols, wearing butterfly masks. Britney Spears with the butterfly, Miley Virus with the butterfly, Lady Barfbag with the butterfly. This is not a coincidence, and even Taylor Swift with the butterfly. All of these celebrities are not members of the Butterfly Club. Well, I guess technically they are, since they're all under MK Ultra monarch programming, and that's what they're referencing. That's why they constantly show you the butterfly. For those of you that don't know, monarch programming is a branch on a continuation of Project MK Ultra, mind control programming developed by your own government, which was tested on the military and civilians, which is now used in day-to-day life, because there's lots of different programming being done on us every day. If we turn on a television or use social media, the government has mastered this. They use it on us. And these celebrities serve as an extension of the United States government, because these are the people who are influencing the behavior. The celebrities are. most people have been built up so much in their minds and have become narcissists without realizing it that they refuse to believe that celebrities have any effect on their day-to-day life. But they are, in fact, influenced by these celebrities, by these social trends, by the media, and that's all done by design. So monarch programming is the programming that these celebrities are under. It is a form of trauma-based mind control. It is how they train them to disassociate from reality. And thus these people end up becoming literally slaves for their handlers. And of course, their handlers are all presiding in your Congress, in your government, in your intel agencies. They actually put them through such tremendous amounts of trauma-based mind control, which again, if you're feeling sympathy for these people, don't, because the majority of them sign up for this when they tell you that they want to sell their soul to become famous, for fame and fortune and everything else. There are people who are born into this. Of course, family members of famous people are born into this and put through trauma-based mind control. But your celebrities out there, for the most part, sign up for this and are willing participants in it. So that's what the butterfly represents. And of course, this is all brought on by trauma-based mind control tactics. And this goes back, the reason they call it the monarch programming has to do with the actual monarch butterfly. And the reason they chose the monarch butterfly, because the monarch butterfly learns where it was born and it passes this knowledge via genetics on to its offspring from generation to generation. And this is one of the reasons that they use the monarch symbolism, because the program is based upon creating a master race through eugenics. And it all goes back to that term transformation. So another symbol you'll see in the video is Megan Thee Stallion sticking its tongue out. And you might think nothing of it, right? Because you probably haven't noticed that celebrities are always sticking out their tongues. Megan Thee Stallion does it all the time. Every time there's a photo op, this isn't just catching Megan Thee Stallion sticking her tongue out at a 2-year-old saying nanny, nanny, poo poo. This is obviously very deliberately done. You could even see Megan Thee Stallion doing it with all-seeing eye symbolism, Cheeto commercial poses. Even recently, standing right next to Demon Kamala Harris doing the serpent's tongue. And of course, the serpent's tongue has become another symbol that most people just dismiss. The celebrities are on magazine covers or standing on the red carpet, sticking out their tongues, and nobody says, why are they sticking out their tongues? Because you become desensitized to it. But most people think of Gene Simmons from Kiss as being one of the demons that has normalized this symbol. Everybody who thinks of Kiss, of course, we're talking about Kiss, Knights in Satan's army here, who obviously, you don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that these are Satanists when you look at Kiss and you listen to the lyrics of their songs. But that's where the tongue is most known from. But Miley Cyrus sticks out the tongue. Beyonce does. Whenever they get a chance to be on camera, Katy Perry does. Cardi B does. Nicki Minaj does. And it's interesting that nobody says, well, why are they sticking out their tongue? Are they paying homage to the band Kiss? Well, no. They're sticking out their tongue because that is called the serpent's tongue. It resembles the tongue of a serpent, of a snake. And of course, in the book of Revelation in chapter 20, verse 2, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. The references to serpents are to Satan, and everybody out there should know of that. Another thing they deliberately did in this video, which again, every single shot that they frame is deliberately done. There's nothing that gets by coincidentally. And they decided to zoom in on one of the background singers and zoom right in on their tattoo. And of course, it's a tattoo of an ankh. An ankh is a symbol I've exposed many times over. And a lot of people get defensive of the ankh because there's a lot of churches that use the ankh. Thus, people don't want to hear the actual origins of the ankh and how this goes back to Egypt. It's an ancient Egyptian symbol. It has to do with a rebirth, but really you find the ankh with a lot of Egyptian gods. You find the ankh side by side with Horus specifically. And what is Horus known for? Well, you may know Horus for that eye that you always see, that all-seeing eye, the eye of Horus, right? And its association with the ankh and Horus. That's the all-seeing eye, the eye of providence. I call it the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. That goes back to Horus. And while there's dual meanings to a lot of these symbols, in the occult, the Ankh actually represents immortality and reincarnation, eternal life. You'll see the Ankh associated with a lot of black masses that occur. So obviously, they deliberately made sure they zoomed in on the Ankh. So this is a video that's trending, and I'm covering it because if you watch this video, you would think nothing of it. You would see a couple of people wearing cheerleading outfits, singing some of the stupidest lyrics you could ever possibly imagine. But if you understand how all of this works, if you understand how the dumbing down of society has gotten to the point that it's gotten to, look no further than Megan Thee Stallion. If you want to start understanding why parents are openly castrating their kids and some of the things that are going on in the world that 20 years ago you would have said are absolutely insane and people would have been locked up over, are now becoming normalized, and the adulting of children and everything else, look no further than these celebrities. And now they're subtly putting in, and they've been doing it for about 10 years now more than ever, subtly putting in cannibalism and promoting cannibalism, which is why you see a vampire movie come out almost every single month. And what do they do with these vampires? They sexualize the vampires. In a lot of these movies like Twilight, they make it sexy to be, they make the vampire suddenly becomes the protagonist, the hero in these films. In this video, I'm sure most girls would see, they say, Megan Thee Stallion is going after these guys who wronged her and she's eating their throats. So that sounds great, mom and dad. Keep putting your kids in front of YouTube unsupervised. And of course, it's amazing that things like that are promoted and trending on YouTube, and they'll say, well, it's artistic, it's a joke, it's a little horror spoof. But people like me are consistently silenced and removed from the platform. It shows you what an upside down world we're actually living in. So while most people will say, of course, because that's how mind control works, they'll say, this guy's insane. He's saying that Megan Thee Stallion is promoting cannibalism, that people are going to turn into cannibals, right? Well, if I told you 20 years ago that parents would be castrating their kids and they would be applauded in our society and not arrested for it. If I told you that parents were making their kids into John Bobbitt back in the year 1990, you would say, that parent needs to get the electric chair. Now, you're applauded, and if you disagree with it, you're considered insane. How do they get people to accept these things? Through social engineering, which is really how they subtly do it with people like Megan Thee Stallion, Beyonce, all of these celebrities having the same ideologies, right? All holding up heart symbols for bail, telling you that we should all love on each other, and love means tolerance and acceptance of all. And then you see the church start doing it and Christians start doing it. It's brainwashing 101. And it's only trending by design, not because people need to see it or want to see it. Well, I guess to YouTube and to the government, they want you to see it, but nobody's requesting this stuff. There's nothing artistic about it. There's nothing that has anything to do with talent when it comes to it. This is Social Engineering 101. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.